Hi, I'm Andrew Pierce with EPICS at Purdue. In this module, we're going to cover appropriate lab use and safety for the EPICS program. The EPICS labs include a number of different spaces for you to use. We have meeting spaces where your project teams can get together, electronics fabrication, woodworking, metalworking, 3D printing, chemical areas, a paint booth, laser cutting and etching, fabrication space, computer labs, and more. Our goal is to provide you with everything that you need in order to have a great experience in EPICS and really to learn as much as you possibly can in the course and to facilitate your ability to build the projects that you want to build to help our community. So there's a few things you should be aware of when working in the lab with respect to safety. First of all, to get access to the labs, which is available to you 24 hours a day, you need to go through our lab safety awareness training. Once you've completed that training, you'll be granted card swipe access to get in the lab anytime you need. Most of the materials in the lab are unlocked and available to you all the time, but some of the select equipment that's more dangerous is kept under a lock, and that's to make sure that there is a TA or undergrad TA there who can walk you through the work that you're doing and ensure that you're safe before you get started. We want to make sure that any flammable materials used in the lab, especially any purchases that your team might make, are placed in the yellow flammable cabinets and are appropriately labeled. Any chemicals that might be hazardous, again, need to be labeled well and stored in a proper container, usually the cabinet under the fume hood. That's in our main lab in ARMS 1098. In case of emergency, you need to know how to react. There's a number of emergencies that could happen, and they're all outlined in the Armstrong Hall Building Emergency Plan. And the QR code in the corner of this slide will help you to access that. In the EPICS labs, it's important that we all work together as a team, both so that we can be productive on our projects and to ensure that the labs remain a useful space for all of the teams to get their work done. That starts with organization and cleanliness, making sure that you're doing your part to keep the labs clean and organized so that everyone can be productive in their work. That means if you get materials out, you put them back. If you get tools out, put them back in the proper place where they go so the next person can find them. And if you do cutting operations, chemicals, or paint, that you clean up all of those materials when you're done and don't leave them strewn around the lab. It's important that we never work alone in the lab, especially when working with power tools or chemicals, so that if an accident were to occur, you're not left alone to deal with it. Always work at least in pairs so that when the accident happens, someone can get emergency response while you deal with the imminent situation. If you do have an accident, and accidents happen, make sure that you don't try to cover it up or hide it, but make sure that you let us know. Reach out to the lab manager. If it's an emergency, then call 911 and get a hold of campus fire and police. Please report any malfunctioning or broken equipment that might be a safety hazard to the lab manager as soon as you can. Finally, with so many projects, we usually have at least 120 projects going on in our space at any given time. It's so important that we keep everything organized. Your team will have a locker designated for you where you can keep all of your project supplies, especially all the small items that you need. But please don't put all of the common tools that everyone should be used in your team locker, or we won't be able to find them. Any items that are used in your project can go into that locker, but if you have big prototypes that can't fit in the locker, make sure to communicate with the lab manager to know where those projects should be stored. All right, thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening through this module. I hope you have a great semester.